Our athletes do remarkably well after concussion. The national time until symptom-free for collegiate athletes is around 14 days. Our athletes report symptom-free at 6 days, and that's both male and female. And our excellent athletic trainers are able to identify, immediately recognize, and remove the athlete from sport, come to the diagnosis, and put them within their care. And our system then takes over, and our athletes have great outcomes. And the question is, well, why can't our students receive the same care? This is an opportunity to use the best research evidence in order to apply it to the student body, and more importantly, learn more about non-athletes with concussion.
It is college football season in America. This week marks the second week of the NCAA football season, and last Saturday marking a strong 47-8 win from our Virginia Cavaliers over the Coastal Carolina Champions. Since I am in the Cavalier Marching Band here at the University of Virginia, I have been subjected to way too much of our mediocre football team in past years, and I have seen many events happen on the field. Maybe this year will be different with our talent pool, but not even the best players can prevent the risk of concussions on the field. Concussions are caused by direct trauma to the head, often with a strong blow or sudden force. The hard reality is that our skulls can only do so much to protect our delicate minds. When faced with a physically traumatic experience, it takes an extensive amount of time to recover from a concussion. If you're like me, you may immediately correlate these events with sports and athletes. Seeing your favorite quarterback, goalie, or point guard walked off the floor due to an injury is almost a universal experience that everyone can relate to. The reality is, though, that us non-athletes, too, are at risk of these concussions on a daily basis. These events can create large swaths of time where we aren't mentally capable of doing many tasks, especially with something like exams, projects, and homework. Enter Dr. Jacob Resch, Associate Professor in the Department of Kinesiology here at UVA. He decided to create a program that not only provides awareness to the commonality of concussions, but provide enhanced recovery routines for University of Virginia students like me. Recently, Sound on Ground's writer and engineer, Sarah Bastianelli, sat down to have a talk with Dr. Resch. And here he is now to introduce himself.
My name is Dr. Jacob Resch. I'm an associate professor at the University of Virginia in the Department of Kinesiology within the School of Education and Human Development.
And then can you tell us what your project is called and if you have a title for the project?
The program title was originally the Equitable Healthcare Access Evidence-Based Concussion Management for UVA Students. Now, as you can tell, that doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue. So we recently modified the title of the program to Jefferson CARES. And Jefferson CARES stands for Jefferson Concussion Access for Recovery, Exercise, and Support. Through this program, we hope to provide excellence for care for all UVA students, not just student athletes.
And it's the same intentions behind it, and you're doing the same job.
Just a more clever name.
Yeah.
So it's the Jefferson Concussion Awareness and Rehabilitation Enhancement Program. I help oversee concussion management at the University of Virginia. So I've been doing that since 2014. And during that time, we've set this really great system. I mean, it's not a perfect system, but it's pretty good for concussion management. So, for example, we see all of our athletes before injury occurs, but then we evaluate them systematically after injury occurs to make a safe return to sport decision for our University of Virginia athletes. Recently, I just had a thought, what percent of our student body is actually student athletes? And it turns out that only 3% of our students account for student athletes. So 97% of our student body are not student athletes. The question arose, what can we do to enhance the care that our students get at the University of Virginia outside of athletics? So that's where this program came from, is the idea of saying, well, how can we enhance the excellence in care that the students already receive from the #1 ranked Princeton Review Student Health and Wellness Center in the country for concussion, and that's how Jefferson CARES came to be.
All right, great. I'll ask a little bit about the athletes part first. Do you know what percentage of student athletes would get a concussion in their time playing here?
Yeah, so if you look at just data in general, concussions account anywhere from about 5 to 9% of injuries sustained by athletes at the collegiate level. So what I mean by that, if all the injuries that occur, anterior cruciate ligament tears or other injuries, concussions account for 5 to 9% of those injuries.
Yeah, and then can you go into a little more depth explaining how you can tell it's a concussion that they have based on those tests, and then how you tell when they're ready to go back based on them?
Absolutely. So a concussion is a mild traumatic brain injury. It happens when an athlete gets hit in the head, neck, or body. And some of concussions, in fact, the majority of concussions happen outside of sport. We just don't hear about them. Motor vehicle accidents, falls, assaults, scooter accidents, all these things can result in a concussion. So immediately following a concussion, visibly, someone might be stepping, stumbling, falling, might have a blink stare, so a million-mile stare. They may appear to be confused, be a little dizzy, stepping and stumbling again. So you can see some concussions, right, based on the signs that individuals displaying, or more importantly, we can look at the symptoms that they report. So after that hit to the head, neck, or body, the number one symptom is a headache. When I was undergraduate, I was taught the number one sign of a concussion was a loss of consciousness. That only happens only 10% of cases, right? A lot of people think, well, you have to be knocked out to have a concussion. Not true. So number one symptom of a concussion is a headache, followed by dizziness, difficulty bouncing, sensitivity to light, sensitivity to noise. So athletes will report these symptoms to our athletic trainer if the athletic trainer is on the sideline and saw the injury happen, or an athletic trainer or even a coach or a teammate who might suspect someone has a concussion will pull them from sport and then refer them to their athletic trainer for care or their medical team for care.
Yeah. And then how do you do outreach to students? How do you determine if an injury amounts to testing to see if they're doing their concussion testing again?
Within the Department of Kinesiology, I'm very blessed. I work with our athletics program here at the University of Virginia, who employs 23 certified athletic trainers. Plus, we have a small hospital of physicians that help care for these athletes. So it's really excellence in action. And with these athletic trainers, they're capable of making that diagnosis as allied healthcare professional. We can prevent, manage, and rehabilitate athletic injuries, but also when it comes to concussion, diagnose them, as well as we have our team physicians that worked historically with UVA athletics that provide excellence in care for our athletes. We see our athletes before injury, but when an athlete does have an injury, we're notified, and then that's when we continue our data collection throughout the recovery. And then after they return to sport, we actually see all of our athletes 6 months after returning to sport just to follow up with them to see how they're doing.
In my research for this, I saw that you guys use a model called the SLAM model. Is
Yeah.
that correct? Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, the SLAM model was actually born at the University of Virginia well before my time. Dr. Jeffrey Barth and colleagues, who's a neuropsychologist, came up with this model. It's a really simple model. Can we look at all athletes before an injury, immediately at the time of the injury, and then throughout the recovery to determine the deficits they might experience after the injury, but also when is it safe for them to go back into sport? So we do 9 different clinical measures with our collegiate athletes. So every athlete, it takes about an hour, 15 minutes to work with before injury, after an injury, and throughout recovery. And we just track their recovery. And we track it in terms of balance and cognition. So I say cognition, like reaction time and memory. We look at mood, such as anxiety and depression symptoms, concussion-related symptoms. But then we even have some visual tasks that our athletes do during that period of time. And again, the idea is we do the same battery of tests before an injury, immediately after an injury, throughout recovery, and then once the athlete's ready to make a return to sport, and then 6 months later, we have them come back and do that same battery of tests again. And this is only possible because we have excellent partners in athletics.
Yeah. And so now you're trying to offer it to more of the student body. What is your outreach to students? Like, how can they access it?
So student athletes only account for 3% of the total number of students at the University of Virginia. So what we're trying to do for the other 97% is offer this enhanced model through the Student Health and Wellness Center starting August 21st, where we're taking the same communication tool and the same approach that we take with our athletes and applying to the student body. So if a student thinks they have a concussion, so let's say that they were in a car accident or they had a fall off a scooter or whatnot, they could go to student health and they'll work with one of our outstanding physicians, and the student will be asked, well, do you want to opt into Jefferson CARES or not? And so they'll definitely have that choice. And if they say yes, the physician will complete a small, quick survey or a brief survey, click submit, and that information will go to FCAP, or the Freed Center of the Advancement of Potential. That will help the student engage in exercise after a concussion that's been proven to be beneficial for recovery. If a student's high risk for a longer recovery concussion, we have friends at the Orthopedic Center at Ivy Road who will reach out to the student. So they'll be able to see an adult neurologist, neuropsychologist, as well as do a more intensive battery of tests in order to determine what can we do to take that longer recovery to make it a little bit shorter. Along with that, we're working with different schools across the university. So every school has contacts that are associated with advising. We've created a wonderful network of individuals who care deeply for our students, that if a student has a concussion, there are small things that faculty can do to help a student get back into the classroom. Well, that email or that survey response will go to that school contact, and then the school contact will reach out to the student's faculty to say, well, Jake's had a concussion. Here are the things that you can do to help him get back in the classroom. It'll be automatic. So we don't have to wait a period of a week or more for those adjustments to take place. Rather, they can take place right away, helping that student feel better. So again, through the system, we're offering already excellence in care at UVA, but what we're adding to it is exercise, immediate academic adjustments, and then specialized care in case someone's at high risk for longer recovery from concussion. So after the student is diagnosed and after this first survey is completed, the student could track their own symptoms daily until they're symptom free. And once they're symptom free, they'll get an automated email saying it's time to go back to student health. And that student would then make another appointment, a follow-up appointment to be evaluated by a medical health provider that will be able to say, you look great. Let's get back to your normal life. And I think we definitely need our students or student athletes to hear that so they can partake in normal life as they do it before their injury.
The one part that really stuck out to me in that description was I like how you mentioned that you also are talking about the academic side of it and messaging the department. Why do you think that's an important thing to do?
As you being a UVA student, there's a little bit of stress in the classroom, especially with upcoming quizzes and tests and homework and, this fear of falling behind. And this could be due to an illness and definitely due to a concussion. So there are small things that can be done in the classroom, such as dimming the lights, allowing a student to wear earplugs, or if the lights can't be dimmed, allow them to wear sunglasses for a little bit until their symptoms stabilize. As long as we're able to get a student back in the classroom where symptoms stay the same or get slightly better, that's a wonderful opportunity for the student to reduce the stress and anxiety from falling behind and allows the student to get back to their normal life more quickly. And that's a communication that we really want to emphasize for students is to just simply talk to their faculty members, tell them what's going on, here are my symptoms, and here's some suggestions that will be coming to you via email from our school contacts in order to help me get back into a classroom, get back to my normal life more quickly.
I have one clarifying question is what is specifically different about this versus what a student would have gone if they had a concussion and came into student health before?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, we have one of the top student health and wellness centers in the country. We have great healthcare providers. And if a student before this program, and they can still get this option, if they opt out of our program, they say, no, thank you. They'll still go through the same medical appointment, be evaluated, be diagnosed, and they'll be provided documents that are to be shared with their faculty members. And it's really at the student's discretion to follow up with student health. A healthcare provider might express concern about a student for various reasons for having a longer recovery, but they'll follow up with that student. This program is a little bit more automated. So as soon as the medical appointment is done, the student opts in, and again, it's a free program. We can have somebody from the Freed Center of Advancement Potential reach out to the student, say, hey, we would love for you to come in and do exercise with us. Did you know exercise has been shown to decrease time until symptom-free following concussion? Let's help you with that. Automatically, the school contact will be notified, so the student no longer would have to reach out to anyone with an electronic document or paperwork. Rather, the school contact would reach out directly to the faculty, and then it's up to the student to talk to the faculty who are now expecting the student to say, Jake, you've had a concussion. How can I help you get back into the classroom? And the last piece here is, and this is really exciting, about those students that are at high risk for a longer recovery. Again, if they meet our criteria, which is all evidence-based, this entire program is based on the most up-to-date research. Our friends at the Orthopedic Center Ivy Row will reach out to that student to make an appointment within a week of their injury, which is really impressive given the expertise that the student will have access to. So it's important. This is a clarifying component. At student health, through the Freed Center Advancement Potential, the school contacts, it's all free. But if a student is at higher risk, then there is a cost at the Orthopedic Center Ivy Road that they would receive specialized care, but the rest of it is free.
It seems like a great program. My question is why now? Why did you decide to start this year?
Every semester, I get about 3 to 5 phone calls, whether it's from a faculty member who's had a concussion or one of their doc students or a student's had a concussion that happens to be my advisee.
Mhm.
And I think it's an opportunity for me to reflect. Again, those numbers are really staggering, thinking 97% of our student body are not student athletes. And it just really made me think about the system that we have in place with athletics. In athletics, our athletes do remarkably well after concussion. The national time until symptom-free for collegiate athletes is around 14 days. So 51% of collegiate athletes report symptom-free and even get back into sport around 14 days after the injury. Our athletes report symptom-free at 6 days, and that's both male and female. But I think it's more of the system that the athletes are embraced with before and after a concussion. Are excellent athletic trainers that are able to identify, immediately recognize, and remove the athlete from sport, come to the diagnosis and put them within their care. And our system then takes over and our athletes have great outcomes. And the question is, well, why can't our students receive the same care? This is an opportunity to use the best research evidence in order to apply it to the student body. And more importantly, learn more about non-athletes with concussion. I think there's great work being done at the military. Our lab has participated with that, definitely with our high school athletes, our collegiate athletes. But the question arises, well, what about everyone else? And this program's going to help us address some of those questions while also providing an enhanced model for concussion management through the Student Health and Wellness Center, through the Freed Center of the Advancement of Potential, as well as Orthopedic Center, Ivy Road, all to make this a successful run for the Jefferson Trust project.
Yeah, as a non-athlete myself, I can see how that could be helpful. I've seen so many people wipe out on those scooters, and I can see that being a concussion issue.
Scooters are a separate podcast. We'll talk about that, part 2 of why you should not ride them.
They are scary. Well, that is all my questions I had for you. Is there anything I didn't ask about that you think would be important to know?
Yeah, so this would not be possible without the Jefferson Trust. It was a wonderful group of individuals that saw the potential for this project, but more importantly, the care that they have for our student body and giving every idea a chance to come to fruition, such as this podcast. And our team really thanks them for that support, as well as the support of everyone that's been involved. The school contacts I mentioned earlier, not one of them was part of our protocol. We actually originally had Barbara Zunder from the Student Disability Accessibility Center. Sarah Humphreys has now taken over for Barbara, who's gone off to another wonderful position. And with the Student Disability Accessibility Center, they said, well, you should reach out to the school contacts and establish this network. Every time we've done that, we've been met with nothing but positive feedback saying, we were hoping that this was going to happen. This is desperately needed. And we're happy to meet that need. So again, this is first and foremost to provide excellence in care through an enhanced model through the Student Health and Wellness Center for concussion, but more importantly, it could help us better understand students, just student athletes after concussion, and what it takes to help them get back to their regular quality of life.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Pilot Projects, Stories from the Jefferson Trust, is a Sound on Grounds podcast. Sound on Grounds is sponsored by a Jefferson Trust grant, as are all the projects featured in Pilot Projects. You can find more Sound on Grounds podcasts at www.virginia.audio.com/soundongrounds. Today's episode was recorded by Sarah Bassinelli in the Robertson Media Center audio studio in Clemens Library, and engineered by me, Blake Cabral. It was written and edited by Sarah Bassinelli and Jason Evans-Groth. The Pilot Project show cover was designed by UVA alum Karina Valachi. Music used was recorded by Jason Evans-Groth. Thanks to Dr. Jacob Resch for coming in and talking with us.